Note, this is not the full film of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Rather, this is a review of the English dub of the film. The full film can be purchased digitally on Prime Video and is available on Blu-ray and 4K HD from the Crunchyroll store or wherever physical anime is sold. Please support the official release. Sincerely, the Dub Talk Podcast. Warning. The Dub Talk Podcast contains language that might be unsuitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Also, there might be spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Superhero or any other anime, so please take that into consideration if there are any films or shows you haven't finished yet. And finally, the opinions shared within this episode are those of the individual hosts and do not represent the Dub Talk Podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Last time on Summer at the Movies, Spaceman Hardy and Lilac tried to save the forest with the aid of the feral yet beautiful Princess Mononoke. Noah Clue and Roots of Justice traveled to the mystical land of Gibberidia with the aid of two unlikely friends in Ernest and Celestine. Classy Spartan and Jet Zero Infinity try to escape a moment trapped in time in the land of Maboroshi. Jamstar and Red Tiger tackle trying to make a feature film with an unusual director from Pompo the Cinephile. Gigi and Queen Era get lost in the land of the unknown while gawking at just how hot Dan Green sounds in Pokemon Spell of the Unknown, and Amon and Lack the Watcher team up to learn just how hype basketball really is in the first slam dunk. Now, all that remains is one final gargantuan opponent. One of the biggest anime and media franchises in history. Join Classy Spartan, Lack the Watcher, Jamstar, and Spaceman Hardy as we strike a pose, get our theme music going, and wear some kick-ass capes as we take things to the next dimension. This is Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Da 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 da.
God, you're a nerd.
Hey guys, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for making it all the way. This is our Summer at the Movies Season 8 finale. As I hope everybody knows at this point of what this is, we are going to be covering the latest iteration of the Dragon Ball Super movie. Was it trilogy of this? Quadrilogy. It is like the fourth of the new movie era, but it is the latest Dragon Ball media anime up until Dragon Ball Daima comes out later this year.
I kind of consider this its own thing with Broly, like it's like a Broly trilogy, if that makes any sense. But
I feel like you could argue about the continuity of what Super is, but I think at the very least, we realized we have wanted to cover a Dragon Ball movie for a while. And we figured there's a couple of choices to choose from about which ones to do, but I think this year had to be the year for a very specific reason. Because early this year, we lost the late and great Akira Toriyama. So, half of this episode is very much going to be talking about the movie Superhero, because there is enough in here to talk about, and things I definitely want to talk about. But I think before we start that, I kind of do want to actually open up with our group of Z fighters. What does Dragon Ball mean to you?
who wants to go first?
The floor is open, but I will pick people. Lack, you're already talking.
All right. My first experience with Dragon Ball Z was actually pretty interesting. My mom had a work friend who, because he lived pretty far away, he would sometimes stay at our house, so that he could get to work easier. He actually brought over, because I had a PS2 at the time, he actually brought over Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. So that was actually my first introduction to Dragon Ball. And which is really interesting. And I kind of fell out of Dragon Ball for a long time after that, because I didn't really watch anime until I was like 17. And after that, I got into it, and I got into it around the time that Kai came out. And so I wasn't really jaded by like the Kai dub. I was like, oh, this is supposed to be more accurate, so I should watch this instead. So sorry, I'm sorry if that makes anybody mad, but that's just how I rationalized it.
I'm gonna be real with you. That Dragon Ball Z Kai is a completely fair and reasonable way to consume the series at this point. And
Yeah.
I continue to be baffled by people who say at this point the original iteration as it was is better.
I think at this point, kind of the Kai hatred has died down, because the kids who watch Kai are now growing up. So,
well, I have you know that there are people that just refuse to grow up even now. It's
right,
okay.
Obviously. But, yeah, and watching Kai and watching how all the actors who did the dub kind of grew as actors, it really started to make me appreciate a lot of the interesting character ideas that Dragon Ball actually has. I mean, on the surface, yes, it is just about, like, overpowered dudes punching each other, but, and I think this movie particularly has a great sense of that as well, is the Dragon Ball series is a lot about, like, the funny, mundane aspects of life, but just with superpowered beings. And I think that's what I really started to appreciate about Dragon Ball, and what I really appreciated about Akira Toriyama's writing. Toriyama is not the deepest writer on the planet. He never was. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, Dragon Ball is supposed to be a comedy comic. It just so happens Toriyama really got into, like, martial arts and fighting and superpowers and all that stuff.
The entirety of Dragon Ball is a man just kind of reinventing the wheel time and time again.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is a man who it's eventually just kind of a guy starting a silly adventure comic, making it a martial arts comic, making it an action-packed superhero show, more or less, and then kind of reeling it back and realizing he missed writing gags about sentient poop.
Right. But you know what? That's what's beautiful about this franchise, is that you can do that and it all feels genuine. Like, it all feels like it fits in the zeitgeist of Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I think that's why I do appreciate this series. It's not my favorite anime, but I do appreciate it, and I like it when I watch it. And it
exists. Dragon Ball existing means every single one of your favorites exists.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball exists.
Yes. And without Gohan, we wouldn't have Koichi from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I'll say that.
That might come up tonight.
Oh, no kidding. All right.
Jamal, what is your history with the Dragon Ball series?
My earliest exposure to the franchise was like, I think 1996. I remember I saw a few snippets of Dragon Ball Z here and there where it was on Toonami years ago. I never really caught on to it, to be honest. It was only in my later years that I say got into it, but Dragon Ball Z to me is like One Piece to GG. I understand the culture. I understand the zeitgeist. I'm not willing to go through all the media, so to speak, but I get it. It is something to be appreciated for that. The handiworks of Toriyama actually reaches other artists to the point that it kind of also exposes my inner circle. Like, it reaches into my inner circle of friends as well, because I have met some people. It's amazing how you can tell about a person just by if they watch anime or not. Because I've met some people who watch anime, I've met some people who haven't, and then there are people who watch anime who, well, most people like me would know Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, the franchise by osmosis. Like I kind of know what goes on because I know somebody else that knows what goes on. Like they've watched this stuff and they've talked about it so much that it's kind of partially absorbed into my brain. I have a couple coworkers. I remember one day because I know one of my coworkers watches anime because I've seen him with Naruto socks on, but he asked me one day out of the blue if I knew who Boo was, and my first instinct was not Dragon Ball, but Boo from the Mario franchise. Which,
Oh my goodness.
okay, you gotta keep in mind, I'm working on the hotline of the conditions. My brain is not thinking fast enough.
I probably would have thought the same thing. if I'm
Which,
being
which
honest.
ironically enough, that may come up tonight for a certain reason. So, so it took me a few seconds. I was like, "Oh, not Mario, you idiot! It meant Dragon Ball Z." And I was kind of surprised he even asked me that out of the blue, because like I never really told anybody if I ever watched anime or anything at work, except maybe one other person. But he was asking me about getting into anime, so he definitely has. Toriyama definitely has a reach with his works, and even though I haven't watched the majority of the franchise, I do share its pains when it comes to continuities and retcons and errors and stuff. Because okay, I may not be a DBC fan, but I am a Sailor Moon fan. So when it comes to Toei properties, it all kind of feels like you share the same connection in a different way, you know? Yeah.
Alrighty. Hardy?
It's interesting, and I didn't realize until many years later that Dragon Ball was not actually my first interaction with Akira Toriyama's work. As you no doubt know, my favorite video game of all time is Chrono Trigger, and he did the character designs for that. And looking back and forth between all his various works, between this and Dragon Ball and Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest even, you definitely get to see his patterns, his designs, how he comes up with his very, very unique art style. Lots of round things. But yeah, no, my first experience with Dragon Ball proper was when it was on Toonami during the afternoons. That was back when Funimation only had the first few episodes, and it had the ocean dub. And we all remember the infamous Rock the Dragon intro. Everybody hated. But yeah, I got to the point to where I was hooked, and so I got to the point and where they ran out of episodes, and the next day came, and I'm like, "Where's Dragon Ball? What's going on?" And this was before the internet was a big thing, and so I had no idea this show was actually from the '80s already. I had no idea it was so old, because it was for a fledgling young child like me. This stuff was brand new. I needed more of it, and so I think what happened to me to kind of made me fall off Dragon Ball for a while is definitely the Frieza fight. I'm sorry.
It's fair.
I can suspend my disbelief to accept giant monkey men throwing fireballs at each other, but I cannot accept 5 minutes being stripped over 17 episodes. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And so yeah, when the Frieza
There's a lot of things that get made fun of in Dragon Ball. I'd say this planet will blow up in 5 minutes is probably one of the most like, oh, this is so, you are just wrong.
Yeah. And so yeah, I have issues with pacing issues with that. But and so as a result, I never really picked it back up after the Frieza arc, because once again, Funimation had run out of licensed episodes to put on Toonami, and so they put it on hiatus for a while. And after that, I just sort of like, yeah, I'm cool. And so to this day, I still have not finished mainline Dragon Ball Z all the way through, but I do know various enough to go and understand what's going on. I do like the movies, for the most part, except for Bio Broly. No one likes that one. But yeah, no.
You know your movie is bad when there is not a single game that has ever made Bio Broly a character.
Right. But if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z,
Don't count Sparking Zero out.
Okay. If this comes out and Sparking Zero makes a Bio Broly character, I will eat my words. But I'm gonna call bullshit and say there is no way they're gonna make Bio Broly in that base roster. And nobody's gonna pay for him for TLC.
Sorry, Hardy, go on.
all right. But yeah, no, getting back into the movies has sort of reignited my enjoyment of the series as a whole, because they don't have the pacing issues that the series did. And so they're quick, like one and done adventure stories featuring our favorite characters. And yeah, that's what made me enjoy this movie in particular so much, especially considering Piccolo was always my favorite character from the very beginning. I don't think he ever got enough real screen time during the series run. So that's all I have to say about it. Everyone liked their Super Saiyans and whatnot. I was always a Piccolo guy.
So tonight's discussion is very much for you.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Ball has kind of always been in my life the more I think about it. As far back as I can remember, when I loved it, when I was obsessed with it, or when I was kind of like, I'm too cool for Dragon Ball now. There's other shows for me. And then realizing, okay, no, this actually was pretty good all along. It was always there. I stuck with it for Toonami pretty much, because I'm a little younger than you guys. I was born in 96, so Dragon Ball was always there for me. It was always on Toonami. That was the advent of Funimation and Atari putting out a bunch of Dragon Ball video games over here. So even if I wasn't always watching the show, I was always picking up the Budokais. I played pretty much all of the Budokais, all the Budokai Tenkaichis. I played Sagas, and Sagas is dog shit.
Did you ever play GT Real Bout?
I never played GT Real Bout.
Don't play GT Real Bout. It is crap.
Oh yeah, I know about GT Real Bout. I feel like if I played that when it first came out, it would have blown my mind, because I've been, hey, look, they're on Namek. What the fuck's a Super Saiyan 4? Like, that would blow any kid's mind over here. But Dragon Ball was always there. It was always something that made... I had so many action figures. I had so many toys. I was the kid that would make a bunch of collectors and, like, hardcore, like, never removed from box, like, collectors angry, because I would buy, like, one of those, like, collector figures, open it out of the box because I want the cool giant figure of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta or Broly, and I was like, yeah. I'm like a Toy Story. Toy Story fucked me up as a kid, because every time I watched it, I'm like, oh, all of my broken DBZ toys are gonna kill me in my sleep. Because I played with those a lot. Some of them have seen better days, I'll say that. But it was kind of always important to my life, and has always been a thing. Even when Dragon Ball went away, I got really into Team 4-Star and Dragon Ball Z Abridged. And that was like... I remember going to Battle of Gods in the theater, and there was so much camaraderie there of everybody just shouting DBZ Abridged quotes. And that was a community in and of itself, was just fans of DBZ Abridged, and how much those guys loved that material and made me appreciate it a lot more. The games, it got me through hard times. I was just talking to my mom today, and we were just reminiscing about, like, that time we went on a shitty camping trip, and it was cold and it was raining and she was miserable. And she says the one bright spot of that trip was that my little child brain kept her distracted from how cold and shitty it was by quizzing her on Dragon Ball Z trivia all night. Just like, literally just like, cold, shitty. What planet is this guy Goku from? Who's his father? What did this battle with Majin Buu, what was the outcome of this battle with Majin Buu? And it's just, that was just a core memory of like getting through hard times was what Dragon Ball was to me. Literally just today, she was telling me like, hey, I saw a car while down here in Florida visiting your sister. Which one is this? Is this Goku? Or is this one Vegeta? What did his hair look like? Black and spiky. I need more details, mother. Okay, is the hair shooting out? Or is it, like, standing up? It's kind of standing up. That's Vegeta. Alright. Okay, your sister was right. Thank you. And that was just today before I told her, yeah, I'm doing a podcast about Dragon Ball Z. She's like, oh, that's really funny. I was like, yeah. It's near and dear to my heart. It's always been near and dear to my heart. There's always been shows. There's always been games. There's always been good movies. There's always been shitty movies. There's always been live-action shitty movies. And I'm so shocked it's taking this long for us to finally talk about a Dragon Ball Z movie. Or Dragon Ball Super movie, in this case, on the Dub Talk podcast. Shall we get into it, gentlemen?
Yes, please.
We shall.
Sure.
As always, we start with our ADR director and ADR scriptwriter. For this particular movie, our ADR director is Jared Green, and our ADR director is a man who is quite intimate with this franchise, Christopher R. Sabat. Jared Green has written for anime dubs such as Decadence, A Stab Life Great Escape, Kaiju Number 8, Megalobox 2 Nomad, and Ranking of Kings. And Christopher Sabat has directed things such as Gunslinger Girl, Kodacha, Salty Ray, pretty much every DBZ show, movie, and game under the sun to some degree, to the point that he literally opened up a recording studio almost 20 years ago where one of their main exports is just Dragon Ball Z game dubs at this point. And of course, let's not forget the creme de la creme, the Citizen Kane of his career, Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000.
I knew that was coming.
Zoom gas for the win.
I thought it was screaming lesbians in Crayon Shinchan.
Lesbians!
Lesbians!
Oh, yeah, you did it so much better, Lack.
All right.
Hire me, Sabat. Sorry. Anyway.
God, there's so many. So there's on the one hand, this should seem like a simple discussion, but on the one hand, it's also a very hard discussion. Because the sound of what Dragon Ball Z sounds like has effectively been, like, fermented and cooked to perfection over the course of, like, 30 years? Give or take?
Probably longer than that.
I
Probably
will say
longer than that.
Yeah.
something I'm glad about this franchise is that it hasn't devolved into self-parody at this point. Like, it feels as earnest as it did when it first premiered, still.
I think it depends who or what you ask. But I think there's definitely something to be said that, like, post Dragon Ball Evolution Spite era, there was a big Toriyama just like, I don't want this to be the legacy of Dragon Ball. And
Right.
basically just made an entire new franchise just because.
I mean, Battle of Gods is great, in my opinion. I think
Battle of Gods is great, and a lot of those characters and a lot of the legacy of Battle of Gods revitalized the modern Dragon Ball as we know it. And that was, almost a decade ago?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think how old Battle of Gods is now.
Oh, that's
and it was like the thing that brought back Dragon Ball. That's what's so crazy.
Because the most recent things of the Dragon Ball Z anime really were like the years when I was born. Like I think GT was new when I was a literal baby.
Right.
And then that show also had a literal baby, but that's neither here nor there. He's probably not canon anymore.
Yeah.
But no, this movie, the dub, sounds great. I think it's fun because it's got a lot of, like, the old guard. But I also feel like a lot of the new cast is fun in the sense that it feels like a lot of them are, like, some of the biggest up-and-comers of, like, the modern video game anime dubbing era, in a sense, too. Which I also find pretty amusing. I don't think it was intentional, but I think it was very amusing. It's also just got a lot of fun casting of a lot of the new casts, including one that we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this until I just read it in the list.
And if people didn't look, some of them might not know.
Yeah.
But it's, So this movie sounds great. I think the script is the right level of, like, comic book seems the right word. It's a good cartoon and it's a good comic book, and it sounds like a good comic book and cartoon with sort of punchy dialogue. Yeah. A lot of these characters a lot more realized in what I say are fun slice of life scenarios, which I really, really like.
Some characters can literally create onomatopoeias in this.
Yeah.
And then just, the Dragon Ball school of training is a rigorous and cruel mistress, but it can turn coals into diamonds. And at this point, some of the people in this cast are just pure gems at how fucking wild they can scream. So yeah, any thoughts?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's the best that Dragon Ball has sounded in its entirety. Because we can all remember when the earlier dubs was out, both the Ocean and the early Funimation dubs weren't very highly looked at. They weren't considered very great when the show came out. And they did take a lot more liberties with the script that sort of made a lot of fans not so happy. I think with the cast that they have now, and with the experience that they have now, and the way that modern dubs have just evolved and improved, at this point, it's the best that Dragon Ball has ever sounded. And they're still able to, the writing is still able to put a few jokes in there, here and there. Like, did Pan's teacher even have a name in the Japanese dub?
I'm not. I feel like it must have been Janet in the Japanese, but because I do enjoy that her name is Janet.
Yeah, we have this super minor character, and they actually named her, and now you see people shipping her with Piccolo, and it's the funniest thing.
I think also there's a lot that can be praised about like Dragon Ball and its designs. It's nice that she just looks normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way I'm going to say. She just looks General Black is literally in the first minute of this movie. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it sounds great. It looks great. Anyways, can we just say, I hate everybody who plays the card of it's CG, therefore it looks cheap and lazy. I think this movie looks excellent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Genuinely creative, inventive in a way that, like, it is similar in aesthetic to, like, Dragon Ball Fighters. And that's a good thing. Like, I love the fact that a lot of recent Dragon Ball movies have been effectively inventive, creative, like, proving grounds of animation for the team at Toei. Where I'm like, that's what Dragon Ball should be. It should be these weird, creative, show-off scenarios to do weird and interesting animation. It doesn't need to be power scales. It doesn't need to be Super Saiyan 17. It just needs to be weird and cool and fun and creative. That's what I think.
Yeah.
This dub really sounds good. Jared has a great script. Chris is... This is him. Dragon Ball Z and Christopher Sabat are pretty much, like, tied at the hip at this point.
It's like Epcar and Lupin.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the peanut butter and the chocolate. It's just that level of, like, their very lives and careers are intertwined together. So it's clear that it's something that is near and dear to his heart. And this dub just sounds really good.
Exactly. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, and this is coming from a franchise that's not only opened one, but two studios. Because if you remember the whole lore about Funimation, it's kind of impressive, which is still...
Wasn't it in a bank?
Huh?
Didn't old Funimation used to be, like, in a bank or something?
I think so. I can't remember exactly. I just remember hearing lore about Gen Fukunaga. His uncle was the one that brought him this idea about bringing Dragon Ball to the U.S., which, if you look at past attempts, I think that was probably well suited. And, you know, it stood the test of time 30 years later. And like you said, it's kind of hard to... Yeah, they had made some mistakes in the past, which led up to maybe developing this movie really well. Because I still remember the one scene from a Dragon Ball Super where Trunks is persuaded the police to not attack Goku.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to finish that sentence, but you know exactly what I mean.
I know exactly what it is. Look, some of that is just... Toei is a company that is Japanese in its very nature, and they are very, very specific with what they want to be translated and sent to page. Yes.
And as I've told you time and time again, Toei's gonna Toei. No matter how good the product may be, there might end up being one or two flaws to get through, depending on how you look at it.
Toei, the animation company, is impressive studio. Toei, the money-making capitalist company, is... Hardy, what is that you always used to say to me back on the Funimation forums?
Toei is kooky.
Toei is kooky. Also, for those who don't know the line, yes, I will say it. I will be brave and say it. The line is, "Don't shoot. That man isn't black."
Yep.
You know somebody on the localization team was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to say it like? We're okay.
Because it's not like Dragon Ball doesn't have a huge black fan base or anything like that, right? So.
Dragon Ball has a continental franchise fan base that will entire festivals have existed. Latin America turned Jiren versus Goku into a title fight. There was parades in honor of Toriyama's passing. It's like, it is a cultural phenomenon to every kid, every generation, every country. Dragon Ball always was and always will be. And the dub of this still sounds really good. So props to Jared, props to Chris. this is a really simple but also really difficult episode to go, because a lot of it is like kind of getting a lot of my personal feelings about Dragon Ball as a franchise into this, as well as also what I think about the movie, which I think it's a very fun and I think it's a very cute movie.
I'll say this real quick about the dub overall. I think it really helps the fact that a lot of these actors have been working together for so long that the chemistry between them and the characters kind of bleeds into one another.
I think that's fair. And I definitely agree that is a part of it too. And yeah, dub just sounds really good. And it's time to talk about some of the most important characters in the series and in the recent iterations of Dragon Ball. And most of them aren't even in the movie for that long. So here we're going to talk about Goku and Vegeta, the titular characters of this movie, who for the sake of this movie are just
Not there.
written out of the movie. They get a scene together, they get a training fight, because they're continuing their training with Whis on Beerus's planet, but this time they now have an entourage. So we're going to talk about Goku and Vegeta. We're also going to talk about Whis, Beerus, and even Broly, because those are all the new film edition characters that are showing up for future iterations of this franchise. Whis, Beerus, and Broly get to return for future iterations of this franchise, or were a big part of Dragon Ball Super. Mm-hmm. And of course, we're talking about Bulma, who, God, if there's one character I feel has really benefited from the new era of Dragon Ball Z animation, it's Bulma. Bulma had a rough start because a lot of people's introductions to Bulma in, like, the United States was kind of Bulma at her worst in the Namek Saga. But I feel like they have figured out what makes Bulma work is that she's kind of just this rich, powerful ally that's kind of funny, in that she's not afraid of gods and aliens and, like, things that can blow up the planet anymore. It doesn't even faze her. She has mystical Dragon Balls, and she guards them for the sake of making her ass bigger.
Hashtag hagmaxing.
God. Alright. So there's going to be other characters we can mention in this section too, but those are the ones I feel warrant at least mentioning who plays them and going over some of their credits. So starting us off, the one and only Son Goku himself is Sean Schemmel. Vegeta is Christopher R. Sabat. Whis is Ian Sinclair. Beerus, the God of Destruction, is Jason Douglas. Broly is Johnny Young Bosch. And Bulma is Monica Rial. Sean Schemmel has played characters such as Yoshinobu Maeda in Mars Red, Velian Crowler in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Lucario in Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, Black Doom in Shadow the Hedgehog, and this is one I thought was really funny, the Monkey King Sun Wukong in Lego Monkey Kid.
Talking about making full circle.
Talk about full circle, yes, because Goku is based off of one Sun Wukong. Christopher R. Sabat, I'm not talking about yet. We will talk about him later. Ian Sinclair has played characters such as Brook in One Piece, Mezzo Shoji in My Hero Academia, Victor Leaked in Fire Force, Kotaro Bokuto in Haikyuu, and a personal one, Ronaldo in The Vampire Dies in No Time, Crunchyroll Dub Season 2, you motherfuckers. Jason Douglas has played characters such as Gildarts Clive in Fairy Tail, Hyter in Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Kishibe in Chainsaw Man, Aokiji or Kuzan in One Piece, and Tomomi Masaoka in Psychopaths.
Don't forget,
Johnny Young Bosch, what?
don't forget, he also got shot in the dick by Mickey Rourke in Sin City.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. He was one of the two assassins who would try to attack Marv at the beginning.
I did not know that, actually. That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, I added Broly in here as a last-minute thing, so I did not write Johnny Young Bosch credits. So I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to have all of you shout Johnny Young Bosch roles to me, because I'm sure you can all think of at least one.
Lelouch.
Vash.
Lelouch, Code Geass. What?
Vash.
Vash, the Stampede. Jamal.
Artemis. Sailor Moon.
Got it. Okay. And one more.
Lujan, Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal... What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was in Full Metal Alchemist?
Oh,
the
yeah.
original. Yeah.
I did not know that one, actually. Shit.
It was a one-shot character. He was in one episode, but I was like,
that's
hey, that's Johnny Young Bosch. He was in this. I didn't know
That's
that.
a deep-ass cut. I
Yeah.
wanted... Okay, Yukio from Blue Exorcist is the first one that comes to mind. I don't know why that one's the first... Rossiu in Gurren Lagann.
Right.
I had an obvious
God.
one if we didn't go for anime roles.
Yeah.
Look, just say the Power Rangers. I know you want to say the Power Rangers one. Go for it.
Yeah, Adam Park, of course.
Okay. He's been a few things. And, of course, Monica Rial is Bulma, who has played characters such as Suyu Asui in My Hero Academia, Ashirpa in Golden Kamuy, Mine Kurame in Fruits Basket, Tsubaki Nakasukasa in Soul Eater, and Mira Jane Strauss in Fairy Tail. Also, we can, of course, mention any and other minor characters that show up throughout the movie that at least have a couple of minutes of fame. Shoutouts to Robert McCollum getting to play Goten for the first time since Dragon Ball GT, because this movie actually allows Goten to age up again.
Yeah, and Toriyama did it this time, so it's going to stick that way.
Okay, so like, I need to talk about that one line that I call bullshit so much.
Oh, the
Saiyans stay pretty small for a long time until one day we suddenly hit a crazy growth spurt is hilarious because it's trying to justify the fact that Goten and Trunks are 13 in Dragon Ball Super and they look the same as they did when they were 8.
It is, but also there is a precedent for that. Because remember, Goku was very small for many years until he shot up.
Gohan was like 11 during the Cell games. And he was like way larger than Goten was in the entirety of Super.
Yeah.
I think they just didn't care to make a new design for them. But now that Pan is in the picture and older now, they're like, okay, I guess we should have teenage Goten now. So, shout out to Rob McCollum actually getting to come back and play Team Gohan. Goten.
Exactly.
Goten,
yeah, that was,
fuck.
It's cool. I get Goten and Gohan always confused. But it is cool that, yeah, he came back for Goten. That they were like, hey, Robert, you want to come in and play Goten? So...
And I think this Goten's not a fuckboy like GT Goten.
Nobody is a fuck up.
No, he literally did not go on the mission because I think he was busy trying to get a date. It's a whole thing. GT has very much been erased from the canon. This movie is interesting because I feel like you could tell it was written by a specific type of person. In that all the Dragon Ball stuff is written very, like, varying different people have, like, says of who gets a show off or not. This movie was not written by a Goku fan. This movie feels like it was written by somebody who's really tired of Goku being in the limelight, and that's why he loses his little duel at the end with Vegeta, which that's a great moment, by the way. But that's why it feels like Goku is like slightly dumber and more absent in this movie than he has been in like literally any other.
I actually don't feel that way. Interestingly enough, I actually liked Goku in this for the short scene he was in, because I like the fact that he was kind of the opposite now of the way he was at the beginning of Broly. Because at the beginning of the Broly movie, he's like, whatever, Frieza probably, it's probably fine that Frieza's back. And now he's kind of chastising, like, Vegeta for just sitting around not training, or at least what he thinks is not training. Which I actually really liked that. I was like, oh, cool, so it's like Goku's kind of changed his tune from, like, the previous movie. That's actually nice. So
Fair enough, but yeah. Sean Schemmel is very much... It is a second skin for him at this point to play Goku. As it is for Sabat to play Vegeta. There are voices that I have heard my entire life, and they have developed these roles, these characters, and like what they're supposed to sound like. Like, there are people who have gone their entire lives and never spent as much time with a single role or character as Sean and Sabat have with Goku and Vegeta. Which is in itself kind of amazing, the more you think about it. Frankly, kind of awesome. Okay, everybody just kind of quiet.
Well, to be fair, I mean, even though they have been around a long time, and these are like very iconic roles, like, we don't have much to say in this instance of the movie as we would like overall in the franchise, basically. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. It's very much, this section is kind of giving them a shout out. They get a good fight, and a lot of this is kind of like, these are characters that I liked in all the other movies. So yeah, no, Sean and Sabat did a good job at Goku and Vegeta, but this section is very much giving them a shout out because they are the titular characters of the series that were given a chance to sit on the sidelines to give other characters a shout out, which I also still want to talk about Whis and Beerus because I love Whis and Beerus. They're some of the best iterations of this new additions to the modern Dragon Ball era, and Ian's just a really delightfully campy, wise mentor figure. I love every scene with Whis, and I think he is just so good for these characters and how they interact. And just, every time I see Whis, it's just, he's just so fun. He's so delightful. I love that little son of a bitch.
Well, at least here I may have a little more to say about them because remember when we first introduced, I believe it was Battle of Gods, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct.
That was their first appearance, yes.
Yeah, and I really like the appearance from them because, one is a god of destruction and the other somehow apparently is teacher, so of course I don't know how that works, but I found, Ian Sinclair is always impressive no matter what he does, but Jason Douglas, I never heard him like this before, and you and I did the Fervent episode as well, so I think he uses kind of a similar approach there as well, because, they're both world-weary, they're both traveling.
Okay, so the difference here is that Jason Douglas as Beerus, he's a lazy fucking cat.
Yeah. Well,
he's great.
Yeah. Also, as a penchant for vanilla ice cream, we learned.
He is a literal glutton. The entirety of Battle of Gods was like, okay, I could blow this planet up, but yo, what the fuck is a corn dog though? This shit banging. All right, you live.
My favorite part was one of my favorite parts was when he sees Chilai coming and Chilai's scared of him, but apparently Beerus has a type or something. It kind of reminds me that that one emoji we use in the horny room where it's just this guy's sparkling eyes and he has horns on his head. You know that emoji?
I know that emoji because I'm the one that added the Helltaker Glorious Success emote, yes.
Yeah, it reminded me exactly of that in the moment. I was like, damn, this is way too funny.
I like the fact that I spent the entirety of the Super Broly afterwards shipping Cheelai and Broly, and then somebody decided, alright, let's throw in NTR with Beerus. Which I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but whatever. Also, shout out to Erica Limbeck as Cheelai. She's great. She's awesome. Mm-hmm. And, oh god, why am I
Bruce
blanking on
Carey.
the guy who plays Limo? Bruce Carey, he was also really great. Thank you. And there's going to be a very short discussion about John Young Brosh's Broly. He yells good. He says a couple of things. I love this iteration of Broly. We will hopefully... Maybe we will talk about the new Super Broly movie at some point. That day will not be today. But just know, I really like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I do too. I actually, it really got me back into Dragon Ball. The Broly movie did.
I feel like if I ever want to pump myself the fuck up, I just gotta play Kakarot versus Broly.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, it's like I'm in a sucking soccer stadium and I'm just going fucking ham. I love it.
Yeah, and you're
All
in
right.
the background musings go Broly, go.
Go Kakara! You fucking rule so much. So yeah, a lot of this is basically just we're giving quick shout outs to Sabbath and Sean, and we really like Whis and Beerus and Broly and all the new movie characters that get to stick around for another iteration. The most... How do I say this? The one with the most cake to sink our teeth into is Monica Rial as Bulma.
I was gonna say, dude, we already talked about Broly.
Oh, that's less. That's a beefcake and a fine sausage.
Okay, now. Okay.
Okay, Jamal, you look at that Tarzanian himbo of a beast and tell me he's not packing heat.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to let the fan art speak for itself.
Oh,
The reason
yeah.
Cheelai stuck around. We'll say that at least.
Yeah.
Fun fact. I remember when this movie was first coming out, they posted art of her holding like a clove, like a sack. There were people that genuinely thought she got Toriyama'd, which is a very crude descriptor of saying she got a baby in her. Like, there was people that saw that sack and was like, oh my god, yo, she hop on that dick, though? And it's like, no, it's a sack of potatoes.
We have to learn what Cheelai's species is before she can have a baby. So
I think she's basically
Okay.
just a green human, though, for the most part.
Look,
I know, but Toriyama had to have had some note of what her race is.
I'm going to... Okay, no, actually, I think he just wanted the design of something kind of alien, but kind of humanoid, and it could work. I think Saiyans could basically breed with whatever at this point and probably
Well, yeah.
be okay.
We need green
Although,
Saiyan babies.
jokes aside, Cheelai genuinely is one of my favorite new characters of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, she's great, yeah.
Give us green
Shout out to
Saiyan
Eric
babies.
Lindbeck.
Oh my god. Yes, give us green Saiyan
They're already vegetables anyway. So.
Oh my god. Can we please... Let's talk about Bulma. Alright, who wants to talk about Bulma first? Arnie, you want to talk about Bulma?
I will talk about Bulma. I think Monica has been the best Bulma so far. And I think that she gets to record her as in the best that Bulma has been. She's not irritating, bitchy Bulma that we were all introduced to. She is like, she's wine mom Bulma, if I can explain that.
Thank
yeah,
you. I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that's basically it.
But yeah, no,
Holy
Monica's
shit.
great.
Yeah. Can't believe we
Yeah,
want this.
she's always been really great as Bulma.
Yeah, I can't believe we want the same wavelength there. It's funny we kind of brought up like a bonus cake because one of the things was I brought this up in the Space Dandy episode. Andrew, how familiar are you with Space Dandy?
I've seen Space Dandy. I love it. I have a signed copy of it by Shingo Natsume.
Oh, lucky you. So Micah plays a character who works with a scholar in the Alien Immigration Center. And I described to her, well, I'm paraphrasing. She was one of the thickest characters I've ever heard her play, and I made a comparison to her character in this movie. And that, it's basically, I guess, as we described it, like one mom kind of aspect where, she works hard for money. She got hers.
So you better treat her right.
Yeah, she basically got hers. I could just picture them holding a wine glass in their hand. That, and I also realized it took me a year to realize why her character was called Pine Pine, because she's about as shaped and colored as a pineapple. Which, yeah, she's thick as a pineapple and her hair is green. Which, Bulma's hair was green in the early years, by the way. But,
Bulma's hair was literally green, it was purple, it was blue, it was every shade at this point.
I'm just making apt comparison, but yeah, but like Hardy said, mine is the best boba I've ever heard, even if I only heard maybe two, but we don't talk about the other. I really appreciate that, even though she didn't have, okay, I'm not going to say as much, but she did have stuff to do in the movie, but man, it's amazing how like she could get irritated when, somebody just trying to reach out to you, and you don't answer a call. Of course she gets aggravated, but then there's also the petty side of her a little bit where she's not being helpful,
You took my husband, you might as well take my call!
That was a really great line. Actually, I really loved that line. Because it felt so real. Like, that's one of the things I kind of love about this dub, is all the dialogue that feels, like, genuine. So.
But I kind of like that little banter between her, Piccolo, and Shenron when she uses the other two wishes, only to realize later she could have just wished for her husband to come back from Beerus's planet.
We need more Piccolo and Bulma scenes because they don't put up with each other's bullshit, and it's great.
It's a fun dynamic that I never expect. You know what this movie is? This movie is Piccolo hanging out with the girls.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something amazing about Piccolo being the one to bond with the housewives.
Yes, well, I think what it is, and I never realized it before, but Piccolo is the group dad, and Bulma is the group mom. So the fact that they interact is why it's really fun to see them interact. Because, like, you would think Vegeta would be the group dad because he's married to Bulma, but no, Vegeta has too much of a maturity issue to be the group dad.
Vegeta's... It took a while for Vegeta to be a better parent than he was. So, yeah. I also love that he has a relationship with Videl, in that, like, they didn't really interact before, but it's like, she's really close with Piccolo and trusts him immensely with her child.
And she's teaching martial arts?
Is
that what the show implied?
Yes, they implied that, like, she has, like, a karate dojo now.
Which is actually a really cool, like, thing for her character, honestly. I really liked that.
I think that's a great detail for her character. Because up until now, all she was the baby mama for Gohan.
Right.
So the fact that she has, like, a career and a thing she does is
plus
great.
Being the daughter of Hercule Satan, she's probably going to get a lot of notice running a dojo. So
as it turns out, she's got skills in martial arts and karate, and like, I like that. I like that detail a lot. I hope she gets her house back. She ends that movie with her house fucking sunk because of how much they pissed off Papa Bear.
A house divided.
I really like Bulma a lot. I really love how she's very vain and petty when it comes to gods and the end of the world. And she's just gonna like, hey guys, I brought some people to help. Do you need help? Alright, I'm just gonna sit back.
Yeah.
All right.
Here are all the strongest fighters in the world, and also Krillin.
The writer of this movie is too mean to Krillin too. I get the Goku shitting on. Krillin did nothing. He's got a good relationship with his wife, and he's strong and dependable. Yes, I know all cops are bad, but Krillin's alright. He's alright. We all get our problematic faves. Krillin has earned it.
You think
Anyway,
it's,
Sunny's great. Yeah, this movie is very much like, come on, Krillin, what are you gonna do? Is like, oh, come on, was Yamcha not available to be the punching bag? Shut up. Anyways, yeah, I like Monica. I think she's very delightful as Bulma. I love her getting very vain and petty about her looks and her wishes. It's like, don't stop judging me! Anyways, what can you do? Alright. I think we can make use of you. We can work something out. Monica is like very business casual capitalist, but she's just like so unfazed by anything at this point. It's very funny. All right. Any other little characters we want to throw in there, or just shall we move on to the actual new crew for this feature film?
let's keep going.
Shout out
Like-
to Android 18.
Oh yeah, Android 18 is in this movie, and also not Android 17 because he's still on his boat.
He's
I
a
guess.
park ranger.
He's a park ranger. They have a whole setup about Red Ribbon and the androids coming back, and 18 doesn't really get to talk to the Gammas, which feels very missed opportunity. Not
Or fight
as
Cell.
not as missed opportunity as, No Great Saiyaman in the
Yeah.
superhero movie, but
Yeah, now that you mention it, that was a missed opportunity, but
I wanted Gohan to be I wanted Gohan to be Deku tier fanboying at how cool Gamma 1 and 2 were.
well, except they kidnapped his child, so yeah.
Okay, yes, but after he realized everything was fine and he realized that Piccolo and Pan were doing a work, then everything probably would have been fine and they probably could have bought. Anyways. Let's actually talk about the new cast of this movie. So, we are going to be talking about Dr. Hedo, Gamma 1 and 2, Carmine, Magenta, and Cell Max, the Kaiju Hirudegan final boss of the movie. So, Dr. Hedo is a descendant of Dr. Gero, where they literally show you the family tree. In that it's Gero and his wife, who
Yes.
would be the inspiration for Android 21.
Yes.
His-
Android 21 is canon. What's up?
Oh, she is hard candid at this point, which is crazy. It's fucking hot ass bitch of a wife.
Dr.
My
Gero-
God.
Dr. Gero fired his candidate to her.
Oh my god. That man is like a 3 batting a 9. God damn. Rich white man with money can fucking play ball. Anyways, where the fuck was I going with this? Oh right, family tree. So Dro and Vomi, they had 2 children, one of which would be the influence of Android 16, and then the other is just, he doesn't get a family picture, completely estranged from Dro's side of the family because he thinks his fucking dad's a kook mad scientist and doesn't invite him for Thanksgiving anymore. So that son had a wife, they died in an accident, Hedo was born. He's a mad genius scientist that just really likes superheroes and has a bit of an ego. The Gammas are his androids that he made because he really likes superheroes. Carmine and Magenta are the new remnants of Red Ribbon Pharmaceutical Company, which is a sham work company to bring back the Red Ribbon Army in secret. Carmine is pretty much just like the hired goon mobs. Like Carmine and Magenta, it's easy to explain who they are if I tell you they are quite literally mobsters. They are literally like Italian mobsters who are basically... I love the beginning of this movie because it's basically like, hey, what do normal humans think about everything with Cell? What do normal humans think about, like, the Capsule Corporation? And it's like, there is an entire, like, Pepe Sylvia-esque QAnon conspiracy theory that Magenta is trying to sell Hedo on to get him on his side. And I believe that's a real conspiracy theory that would exist in this universe. How do all these powerful people always congregate in this area? Is Hercule really as strong as we think he is? It's the first time you've seen a human question how strong Hercule is, maybe. Because everybody else is like, oh yeah, no, he's a god, Chad. Of course he is. Duh. I'm rambling a little, so I should probably talk about who plays these characters. So, Dr. Hedo is played by Zach Aguilar. Gamma 1 is Alex Lee. Gamma 2 is Zeno Robinson. Carmine is Jason Marnocha. Magenta, I'll save for a second. And Cellmax is Damian Clark. So, Zach Aguilar, you'll know as characters such as Arthur Pendragon in The Seven Deadly Sins, Genos in One Punch Man, David Martinez in Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Tanjiro Kamado in Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, and... Hey, Lack, I told you this was going to come up again. Zach Aguilar played Koichi Hirose in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable.
That's right, yeah.
Alex Lee as Gamma 1 has played characters such as Lancelot, aka Sin, in The Seven Deadly Sins, Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Shen Jiang in Undead Unluck, Mash Burn Dead in Mashal, Magic and Muscles, Sung Ji-woo in Solo Leveling, and Zenitsu Agatsuma in Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Zeno Robinson as Gamma 2 has played Hawks in My Hero Academia, Zenon Zogratzi in Black Clover, who I just added because I thought saying Zenon Zogratzi would be fun.
Girl of the 21st century.
It was fun, yes. Ogun Montgomery in Fire Force, Go in Pokemon Journeys, and Genya Shinazugawa in Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Jason Marnocha's Carmine. Jason's played characters such as Charlotte Oven in One Piece, Keicho Nijimura in JoJo's Diamond is Unbreakable, Professor Helvis in Hells, Gunsaku Nanbu in Megalobox, and Katana Man in Chainsaw Man. Damian Clark as Cellmax has played Kazuma Soma in Fruits Basket, younger Tagoro in Yu Yu Hakusho, Paragus in the previous Dragon Ball Super Broly, and Nathan Spencer in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And the voice of Cell in at least 95% of all Dragon Ball Z dubs and video games, except for that one time that Travis Willingham played him for a little while.
That was confusing when I learned that Travis Willingham voiced him once.
And, of course, finally, Magenta.
Let's go.
It's a
me.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, Charles Martinet, who has played Giuseppe and Mario's dad in the Super Mario Bros. Super movie, Vigoro in Skies of Arcadia, Parthenax in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Senator Wilson Phillips in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure OVA.
There it is.
Yep, I knew I was going to bring it up. He played the senator in the OVA that had Satoshi Kon working on that episode.
It doesn't matter, just drive.
And, of course, the voice of Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi from 1996 all the way to 2023. For the entirety of my entire life, up until this past year, Charles Martinet has been the voice of some of the most iconic video game characters in the entire motherfucking world. And I guess Sabat just knew him from the convention circuit and was like, hey, I got a character I think you'd do good at. You want in? And he said, Yahoo! And it was done.
I guess this is sort of like how Veronica Taylor voiced Barry Blue in the previous one.
She's also in the dub of Super too, actually, but yeah.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking like just out of pocket casting for Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the most out of pocket of Super is allegedly the voice of Zamasu.
Right. I don't think it's a legend, but
I don't think it's allegedly at this point. I'm just playing it
yeah,
safe.
I know legally you can't say it was officially him.
We all know who it is at this point, and they have very much made up for that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say the most out of pocket casting in like the entire franchise was when they got the voice of Chewbacca in GT.
Yeah. Peter Mayhew was in.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Wait, who is he in GT?
You asking the wrong, but yeah, I don't even know.
Okay, so, alright, which characters should we talk about first, and who wants to go first?
Well, I just want to say, they actually brought Damian Clark back to play Cell in this.
Yes, they did.
I mean, like, I'm glad he came back. That's cool that he did it. But I'm just like, what was the point?
Well, with most legacy characters, you never forget where you came from. It's like when Caitlin Glass brought Laura Bailey back for the Fruits Basket reboot, you know?
Yeah, but that's because she was going to be a prominent character.
Look,
and she was actually going to have dialogue.
Look. I'm going to assume at the time Damien was probably either recording other stuff or was going to record other stuff. Because there's always Dragon Ball Z video games. There's always Dragon Ball Z video games. Oh, okay. He was in the Heroes Legacy special, which was like canonically the last thing in the timeline, but apparently released midway through the GT run, which I only learned about thanks to Kaiser Neko from their commentaries on GT. Thanks, Kaiser. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I zoned out because I was trying to find the Chewbacca thing. What are we talking about?
Damian Clark.
It's awesome that he's back. It is.
I'll say this. I was a little split on what I thought about Cell Max at first, but I think I at least respect that they decided not to just do Cell again. And it's basically what I could describe as like a kaiju abomination of like all three phases of Cell. Because it's like, it's got aesthetics of imperfect, semi-perfect, and perfect Cell design iconography. It also kind of... Okay. Jamal, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm not even going to ask. Lack Hardy, how many of the pre-Battle of Gods movies did you guys ever watch?
Pre-Battle of Gods. I watched all of the movies. Every one of them.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember much.
Okay. Do you have slight recognizant recollection of Wrath of the Dragon?
That's the last one, right?
That is the last one. That is the one with the character that looks like he came out of Chrono Trigger.
Yes, I do remember a little bit from that.
Cell Max, to me, reminded me less of Cell and more of Harudegarn. In that he's basically like a giant, powerful kaiju man. And he's got like the giant wings and the giant tail. It's very much like Harudegarn in his like bug form.
I can't remember. That's been years.
God. All
it's
right.
been 407 beers ago, so.
Oh God, that's what Cell Max looks to me. And look, even Damien is doing hella screams. Like, we can't talk a lot about, like, his dialogue or how he's growing as the character. He is playing a kaiju fucking abomination, and he is yucking it up and, like, screaming his goddamn little heart out. Damien has been in the Dragon Ball School of Training for a long time now, and it shows. It shows, and it sounds great. Fucking wow.
He sure do scream
That
good.
I'll say this. He sure do scream good. I think the final act of the movie is, ironically enough, probably the weakest part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because I realized I liked the slice of life, almost lower key stakes of the first 2/3 more than actual dire gotta stop this thing to save the world. I liked the fact that, like, Pan is never in any real danger, and it's just Piccolo's trying to, like, get his dad to push himself. And it's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I also do enjoy the shenanigans of New Red Ribbon and, like, Hedo and the good nature of the Gammas and all that. I think it's a fun final act, especially if it's like, okay, you want some new cool forms? We got some new cool forms for your games and toys. But I thought the Cell Max stuff was a little weaker compared to the rest of the movie. I think it's still fun. I think it's still a gorgeous final battle, especially with the animation, but I thought it was a little weaker comparatively.
Speaking of Hedo and the Gammas, what do we think about them?
I think they are delightful new additions.
So
I think they are delightful new additions.
I got a question. Do you think Hedo is eating Oreos or Hydroxes?
Yes.
What the fuck is a Hydrox?
It's what Oreo. It was what Oreo was modeled after before the. Okay, there's the show called The Foods That Made Them Famous, and Hydrox was the original chocolate cookie until the guys that I guess some guys that were working under them decided to make the old chocolate cookie, and they sought the help of Milton Hershey. And because of that, they ended up taking over as the number one chocolate sound cookie. And people started seeing Hydroxes as copycats, even though they were the original first. So I guess...
Oh, it's one of those stories where it's like the one that came out first is not the one that got to survive the sands of time.
I assume there wasn't some kind of, like, marketing, like, tie-in or anything. Was there?
I'm okay. No, if it was a marketing tie-in, we would see a logo.
Yeah.
Like,
which
it's
is
like Weathering with You. It's like you can tell they got actual fucking McDonald's money to be in a McDonald's in that movie.
Pizza Hut and Cody. Yeah, it's kind of.
Which I'm gonna be honest with you, and be honest with me too. Does anybody else think that the Red Ribbon logo looks like the Little Debbie's logo?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can
see it.
I did not mean to, derail the conversation like so bad. So
No. That honestly, that was a completely fun conversation to have, and it made me realize I'm a child who did not know what a Hydrox was.
Well, on to that. I will say I like Dr. Hedo a lot. The Gammas are okay. I didn't love them, but as, like, I feel like, getting into, like, Gamma 1's the one that lives, right?
Yeah.
Gamma 1 is the one that lives. Gamma 2 is the one that nobly sacrifices.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of potential with Gamma 1 as a character. So I'll say that. And I think the performances are good. I think Dr. Hedo gets the most to work with.
I think my biggest thing with Hedo is, like, for one, this section I think is fun. I'm glad you've grouped them all together. I think this section's fun in the sense that, like, Alex, Zeno, and Zach Aguilar, in my mind, are, like, some of the biggest, like, leading actors right now in, like, the anime gaming sphere of the past couple of years. And I think, like, that's pretty fun that they are all together in Dragon Ball Z, one of the biggest fucking franchises on the goddamn planet.
Yeah.
So I think them all being together, grouped together like this, I think is especially pretty fun. Especially now that I remember that Gamma 1 and 2 are fucking Junpei and the protagonists of P3 now.
Yeah. I thought it was very strange, though, that they could hold their own against the Z Fighters.
I'm gonna be honest, power scaling they threw out a long time ago. They are as strong as they need to be for any given scenario.
I know, it's just... Look, I know it's Dragon Ball and I shouldn't be questioning this, but I'm just like, how did Dr. Hedo make them stronger than, like, the people they fought in the Universe Tournament arc?
Who fucking cares? That's my answer. That's Toriyama's answer.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's cool. It's what the scene needs. It's what the story needs at any given moment. Like the fact that it is like this is a scenario where they did not need to press the Goku button. Where they could have a little fun with it. They could let Piccolo actually be like a strategist for once. And Gohan could kind of come in and... Okay, we'll get to Gohan in a bit. But I think Hedo is fun. And the craziest thing is... I've gotten a good grasp of what Zach Aguilar sounds like. There was a bit at the beginning where I honestly could not tell that was Zach.
Same.
I actually thought it sounded...
I didn't know it was him.
I thought it sounded like Jesse James Greel for a few minutes. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it sounded like Tower Tablecore until I remembered he was in another
Yeah, I thought that too.
Until I remembered he was in another one of the previous Dragon Ball movies.
He is Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, Vegeta's not canon brother in the games, but the special that never got a dub, because a couple of those specials were only ever brought over via other video games, and Funimation never dubbed. Can you tell I know a lot about Dragon Ball?
Really? I never would have guessed.
See, like, I am not a sorry.
No. I wasn't saying anything. I was just coughing.
Oh, sorry. Anyways, I think Zach is very fun as Hedo, and Zeno Robinson is maybe one of the most infectiously charismatic voice actors I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah.
And he is just absolutely just charming and just enjoyable as Gamma. I think I almost wanted more of the Gammas being goofy goobers together for at least a few more minutes than what they got.
Yeah. I just wish Gamma 2 didn't give me a brawler moment, and how you will know exactly what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, and yeah. Gamma 2, rip in peace, he was a real one, and Gamma 1, Alex Lee, is also very stern and strong and, like, full of justice and vigor, and Alex is equally very good very strong at what he does.
To which I couldn't even tell that was Alex Lee at first. I know that was him, but I was like, that's him?
Alex has an incredibly, like, sliding scale of voices.
He's got a good range. Yeah.
Oh, his range is, like, either really low or, like, screeching to the point that he's breaking a sound barrier and your dog can hear it. Genuinely impressive shit.
Yeah.
Mean that in the highest of compliments. I like this new group of characters.
Yeah.
I compliment him as someone who's jealous of him.
You know what? Fair. As like the professional actor of this group of people, you very much are like, motherfucker, I wish I could do that with my vocal cords. How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you have that much versatility? I kill you.
Yeah, but Alex is great regardless. So, before we get on to the big two, I had to step out during the Cell Max discussion, to which I don't hear Damien do a lot of creature voices that often. I mean, the most I ever known him for was Handsome Jack in the Borderlands series, to which I almost met him one time. But I thought he was pretty cool encompassing what you would describe as like all these different versions of Cell throughout. So I thought that was pretty cool.
If there's one thing about Damian Clark is that there is one soundbite that is just stuck in my head forever. It is the Budokai wah wah wah. That's just stuck in my head. Specifically, the Imperfect Cell voice clip that's just in all of those. Like, just one of those. God, I played so many video games as a kid. There's so many video games. I'm genuinely really excited for Sparking Zero. I kind of want the toy box video game that's so unbalanced. Fucking, I'm excited. Anyways, Hardy, what are your thoughts on the Gammas and Hedo?
They're all pretty good. Gamma 2 obviously stole the show for all the scenes he was in. He's definitely chewing that hammy scenery.
As Zeno does.
Yeah, as he does. Alex was a bit more reserved and more no nonsense and didn't really speak all that much in comparison, but he's pretty good. And Hedo, yeah, I also could once I knew who it was, I could hear it. But at first, when I started, this is the second time I've watched the movie, and when I watched it just yesterday, I couldn't really place who it was, and then when I learned it was Zach Aguilar, I was like, oh yeah, I could hear it now. And so, yeah, I think they all do really good. But what I really want to talk about is in our next section, though, because that threw me for a loop.
So, I think we can be very simple and say, Carmine doesn't get a lot to do. He gets some very fun sight gags. I like the fact that the bubble car only exists because of his hair, and he doesn't want to mess up his hair. That's a very fun, silly gag.
Hey,
I
you
like
got
the
the
fact
money
that
to
he's
afford
he's this very serious Italian mobster type, but he also like has his own like he likes making his own like fucking YouTube intros. Like, that's cute.
That was a cute like character thing for him. That he's
movie,
an auteur. He's an
this
auteur
movie
goon.
feels Toriyama in the best ways, in that it's Dragon Ball is a franchise that people act like it's very serious and power levels and fate of the world. No, Toriyama likes his goofy shit, and this is a movie that's kind of like as much of a love letter to the Dragon Ball era as much as it is the Dragon Ball Z era, and I think that's to the film's benefit, in that it's referential to a lot of the Dragon Ball era stuff, and it's got a lot of that comedic silliness to it.
People forget that Battle of Gods was not a Dragon Ball Z movie. It was a Dragon Ball movie. Specifically. That and Resurrection
Technically,
F.
this one isn't a Dragon Ball Z movie either.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a Dragon Ball Super. Yes, which can I talk
Actually,
about?
we haven't had a Dragon Ball Z movie technically in probably 30 years. Something like that.
Okay, so I want to say Battle of Gods and Resurrection F are both technically Z movies. It's Broly where it started being Super.
Yeah.
But also, the full title of this movie is for real Dragon Ball Super, Superhero.
Right.
Because genuinely Toriyama seemed to forget the name of the series was Dragon Ball Super.
Well, don't they call it Dragon Ball Cho?
I don't know. I'm not a weeaboo. Okay, that's okay. That's not completely true, but I'm not the type that's going to pull a Shingeki no Kyojin out on you in public.
All right.
Rakino no Tabe. I'm still upset.
I don't even know what.
No, that's if you want to piss Noah off, Hardy.
What's a Kino Tabe?
Kino no Tabi
Tabi.
or Kino's Journey.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that one. Alright, god. Anyways, I'm very excited. I'm going to date this recording. I'm very excited to read the final chapter of the decade-long manga sensation Boku no Hero Academia.
Yes. And
All right,
afterwards,
I love Jason.
Afterwards, you can watch Boku no Cousin Vinny and listen to Boku no Chemical Romance.
Jeez.
God. I would, if I go to Japan, I will listen to My Chemical Romance and say it's Boku no Chemical Romance, and then just have the lady at the end tell me, please shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Please shut up. Jason Marnocha is so fucking good. I love his voice. It's so good.
Now, Andrew, you know I love you.
Yep. Oh my god.
Let me put my fedora on real quick.
Motherfucker. Alright.
I'm going to need a heyo, guys. Well, actually...
Alright. How do you actually say it?
Jason Marnocha.
Marnocha. The H is silent.
Yes. It's like a K sound.
Okay.
I finally get to Will
Marnocha.
actually
Okay.
after years, so I had to... I had to do it to him.
I know. I respect you. I applaud you for doing it, but also go fuck yourself. Anyways, tell me what you thought of Jason Marnocha.
Marnocha. Yes. I'm used to hearing his more gruff voices, so him playing Carmine while he is this big gruff character, he still sort of has this smoothness to him. Like you could tell that he's definitely a mobster, but he doesn't really have like a massive accent like Magenta does. He's got more of a cool, calculated character, and he's not. Well, he has a temper, but he's able to keep it more under control than, say, Carmine or the other villains. But yeah, I liked him, and I like to hear this sort of voice out of him more often.
I just think Jason's voice is just fucking cool. It seems inappropriate to describe his voice as buttery sex, but like
What? Buddy
Okay.
sex is not the first thing that came to my mind.
No,
well, yeah, that's because you're a coward.
no.
Fuck
That's
you.
besides Patrick Seitz already has that role.
Fair enough, but yeah, Jason's got that right level. Oh, motherfucker. You read that out loud, don't you just... That's a joke, you don't keep that for just... You read that one out loud that you just put in the chat. No, fuck you.
No, I would not read that out loud.
You fucking bitch. Okay.
Manoka, la head shala.
Hey, there we go. See, that's a good gag. That's a good... Marnocha headla... Marnocha head chala. That's what you were going for.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You get a little golf clap. Jason's voice is really good. I like when he gets his fucking ass kicked by Pam. Alright. Any other quick thoughts before we finally get to the Mushroom Man of the Hour himself?
Yeah, I thought Jason's was very good. I mean, it's not like it's something from his wheelhouse that I'm used to, but he did pretty good. Well, yeah, he did sound like he and Charles did sound like Italian mobsters, but we'll get more to Charles in a second. It's kind of funny how they picked him to be Carmine, and yet it reminds me so much of Elvis, even without the deep voice. But that's just the pompadour, so.
He's got some very nice hair. I like how it just fucking deflates when he's finally defeated.
Yeah.
It's a good sight gag. Actually, before we even talk about the performance, can we talk about Commander Red and Violet fucked?
I didn't even notice that.
Okay, so literally on his desk, he's got a picture of his dad, Commander Red, and a picture of Violet, implying that is his mom and dad. Which I think she just took the money and ran. So I don't know if that's just like she left and there was just already something cooking and she didn't even realize it. It was like, ah, shit. There's just a question of like, was that a relationship or was that just like, all right, I'm drunk. You're drunk. Do sick nasty. Alright. Now that we got that out of the way. Alright, who wants dibs on Magenta? Wants dibs on Charles Martinet as Magenta first?
I'll take
I
dibs.
guess.
Take the dibs.
Yeah, it is. I really like this character. In fact, I gave Charles a dubby for most underrated performance because he does play the character with a stereotypical Italian accent, but it's more realistic. It's not like his Mario voice. And I do like seeing.
If I had to describe it, it's like, what if Wario was a mob boss?
He isn't
And
even
it
as
works
exaggerated
really
as Wario is. Wario is like this, but Chich is obviously not. He's more grounded into reality. Now that he's not doing Mario anymore, I would like to see him in more voice acting roles. Not particularly like mainstream anime or something like that, but the occasional guest role like in a movie.
He's a good character actor. He's got the chops.
If you want to notice how most of our villains here in this movie are based out of LA, that's one of the things that the studio formerly known as Funimation likes to do for their movies on their franchise is get LA actors to play the guest spots. They did that a lot on the My Hero Academia movies as well. All three of the main villains
And
from
a
those.
lot of the one.
Yeah, all three of the main
I'd say a
villains
lot of
from
the One
those
Piece
movies.
movies did that.
Yeah. I think it was Keith Silverstein was in Gold, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's in Gold, and he's also in the first My Hero. And then it was Johnny Young Bosch, fancy enough, for the second movie. And then the third one was Robbie Damon. And we'll see how things go with Your Next. Anyways. Yeah, that is very much something they would do for a lot of the movies, because a lot of the seasonal stuff was like they kept to the local talent, but then the reprisals are basically, all right, a bunch of people in Dragon Ball are now LA-based people, but what, are you gonna not invite like some of the most iconic voices of the series back? So yeah. Charles Martinet is a great character actor, and I love the fact that he makes Magenta sound like such a little, emphasis on little, shit.
He's anime Lord Farquaad.
Oh god.
Oh, God. Oh, I hear it, too. Ooh. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Yeah, see?
Yeah, anyway. To be completely honest, Charles Martinet was the reason I wanted to end on this episode, because it's not often you get to talk about an actor like him, especially in a role like this, because it's, of course, as people do realize, this is out of his typical wheelhouse, because we all know him from Mario.
It's a great...
It is completely great, and hearing him do something different than that is very unique. And like Hardy said, it does sound like stereotypical Italian, but it's not exaggerated. That's a good thing too. So
it's cartoon mobster. I'd say it's less of a stereotype and more that it is literally cartoon caricature mobster.
yeah, which is funny, because when I was listening to Magenta, it kind of gave me vibes of Mike Pollock, but without the the deep enough voice that he usually has. And I thought it was a breath of fresh air having to listen to Charles in this role. It kind of makes me regret all those times I didn't get to meet him at cons. But hey, he does magnificent here as Magenta. And,
also, can we talk about the fact that Dr. Hedo and Magenta have what I can only describe as the shittiest slap fight in all of Dragon Ball? Affectionate.
Yeah. Can we also talk about the fact that their first meeting was when he goes to pick up Dr. Hedo at the prison?
And he throws a fucking grenade at the prison because he's tired of being there.
And before that, he finds out why he's in prison, which, Jesus Christ, man.
That's such a good gag of like he made zombies cadavers work at a convenience store, not rob, work a 9 to 5. Which, man, is if I was dead and somebody forced me back to work at ShopRite again, I'd hate myself.
Same, but with hotlines closing at night.
But God, no. Charles Martinet is a brilliant character actor, and getting to see him play a really fun character like this was a delight. And definitely one of the things that got a lot of people paying attention to this dub.
Yeah.
I think everybody in this section and every new addition to this movie is a delightfully fun, charming addition to this cast. And I'm glad they were all in this movie, so we could talk about them. Shall we talk about the main characters of this movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about the family. This is a family. A family can be a dad, a child, and their alien stepdad, who's the dad that stepped up.
It ain't always
my
done
two
as
dads.
Transmutation.
So, son Gohan, his daughter Pan, and Piccolo, the actual protagonist of this movie, Piccolo.
Not King Piccolo,
Playing-
not Kami.
Piccolo. Which I do love how King Piccolo comes up throughout the entirety of this as like, I am changed and not that. And I love the world building detail that Korin calls him Kami. I think that's really cute and actually really charming. So, playing these characters. Playing the role of Pan is Genie Torado. Playing Son Gohan is Kyle A. Bear. And playing Piccolo is Christopher R. Sabat. Genie Torado has played characters such as Koala in One Piece, Zira in Fairy Tail, Katarina Clace in My Next Life as a Villainess, Dorsey Jihad in Tower of God, and Norman from The Promised Neverland.
And don't forget, this isn't
Kyle A. Bear.
this isn't her first time in Dragon Ball, because she's also the voice of Android 21 in Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yes. She is the voice of Android 21, aka Vomi, in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Fighters, and she also gets to show up in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot as well. So she's been canonized in that too. Kyle A. Bear has played characters such as Kiba Inuzuka in Naruto, Escanor in Seven Deadly Sins, Fat Gum in My Hero Academia, Kamina, Who the Hell Do You Think I Am, in Gurren Lagann, and Lord Sullivan in Welcome to Demon School Irmakun. I'm the host, I'm flying this ship, I'm gonna throw in my Irmakun agenda sooner or later.
As you are wont to do.
And now it's time to Christopher R. Sabat, who has played characters such as All Might in My Hero Academia, Roronoa Zoro in One Piece, Elfman Strauss in Fairy Tail, Yami Sukahiro in Fairy Tail, and Alexander Louis Armstrong in Full Metal Alchemist. Just to name a fucking few.
But he is all over the Dragon Ball dub.
Oh, he is just... In OG Dragon Ball, he was legitimately 50% of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, as Vegeta is, like, the longest one he's known for, the second longest one he is known for is Piccolo.
Even though Piccolo existed a long time before Vegeta, so...
Yeah, but it's the whole thing about Dragon Ball Z was the one that caught on, dubbed first. You know how it works. Them's the bricks. I kind of want to start with Pan here, because I'm going to be honest, I love this take on Pan and her relationship with Piccolo.
Yeah, it's fun.
Adorable.
Yeah.
I think it was described as they basically made Pan into a mix of, like, early Dragon Ball Goku with a pinch of, like, Aurelie in Dr. Slump. Because, like, literally, when she's going to school, she does the fucking Aurelie run. Which, that's really cute. Jeannie is really cute as Pan. I love her a lot. I really like this take of Pan a lot. I love how she could just tell it's Piccolo under that little disguise. And I love how her response to stranger danger is to fucking dropkick him.
Yeah.
Absolutely drop that motherfucker. I don't know this man. Oh, hey, Piccolo. Oh, yeah, sorry about that, Janet. Don't worry about it. We're doing a thing. It's all good. Also, shout out to Danny Chambers as Janet. She only gets a couple of lines, but Danny Chambers is great and very cute as Janet.
Yes. And a new ship was born. A new headcanon.
I also like the fact that they go into... I love that Piccolo actually gets a house.
Well, he had one.
Spent the entirety of the series just a homeless vagabond. And then he finally gets a house with stuff and stuffed animals.
Yeah.
I love this movie because slice of life Dragon Ball is delightful at this point, and that's kind of what I want more of. I want this slice of life shit.
Yeah.
God, yeah, Jeannie is delightful. I love her as Pan a lot, and she's a ton of fun. I love the fact that her and Piccolo are kind of co-conspirating together. It's like, hey, I want to get your dad a lot stronger. Trust me, I got an idea. And she's like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Here, I'm going to hold you up while you do to
like,
scream bloody murder for me, okay?
I love the shot. I love the fast zoom in is that you can see that it's a work. You can see her literally like standing on top of his other hand as you can see the cuffs are from like, it's like you're on it's like you're watching a stage performance and you can kind of see from the right angle how they're doing the stage fight. I love that. That's such a cute bit. I love their relationship so much. It's great. And you can tell that, like, Piccolo is still, like, a tough teacher, but he has clearly, like, softened a lot since the days of training Gohan. But he's still himself. He's just, like, slightly grown up. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pan was definitely adorable. It's been a hot minute since I've talked about Trini Torado, man, but she's fantastic.
Oh, she's great.
So we on to Gohan or Piccolo now, or we're just doing the both together?
I guess we could do them both together, but here's what I was thinking is this movie is marketing this as Gohan's movie. He is shockingly less relevant than I was expecting him to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of just sort of like doing an investigation on what I can literally describe as Super Saiyan Chimera ants. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, can you help me with my kid? I'm gonna do this thing. It's alright, it's all good. Where it's like, he's a little... Here's the thing. I think Dragon Ball Media can't decide if Gohan wants to be a strong protector or like a chill stay-at-home dad. And I feel like I would rather him be more of a dad than I want him to be a fighter at this point.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like his arc should lead to the idea that he can be both. That he doesn't have to choose.
I like that too, but I think they're going to kind of flip-flop between one or the other.
Yeah. I just feel if I was writing Dragon Ball... But, like, seriously, if I would feel like the arc that Gohan should be leaning to is that he doesn't have to choose both sides. He can be the fighter and the father. So...
I also think he should be the goofy superhero, which I wish this movie leaned into him kind of going into his dorky superhero cosplay days and be like, oh shit, that's so cool. I thought that would have been fun, but they're like, whatever. Which also... Can we talk about how El Gohan Blanco Beast Mode is a very funny transformation?
It's a very fun transformation, but yeah. Because you just... It's very
clear they're going for Super Saiyan 2's visual design again. But, like, his hair literally looks comically large, like a Dragon Ball Z parody level spiky hair. Or like a Final Fantasy VII parody spiky hair. You know, you know what I mean, Hardy?
Cloud's hair isn't that bad. Maybe original.
There's a
Cloud.
couple of angles where it looks a little funky.
Maybe OG Cloud, but not Rebirth remake Cloud.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you say comically, it looks more like a comment from the side to me, so.
Which, hey, look, giving him a special beam cannon finisher is a strong way to end that. I thought that was pretty fucking dope.
I like the idea that Beast Gohan, even though this is definitely not canon, because no way Toriyama ever thought of this, but I like the fan idea that Beast Gohan comes from actually Chi-Chi's side.
Ooh, I've not heard that one.
Because she is the heir to the Ox King. So I like the idea that this is him sort of embracing both his Saiyan and his Ox King heritage.
You know what? I like that. That is absolutely not what they intended. I genuinely do not think anybody at Toei even remember what Ox King is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But I do like that. I think that's a fun hand cannon. I like Gohan in this movie. I think he's got some cute scenes, and I think he's got some really good fights. But I wish he was more of an active instead of a reactive element in this story.
You wish he was more proactive than reactive, is what you're saying.
Yes, I wish he was more proactive than reactive. I think there could have been some really fun stuff with him there. But I think letting him be the cool, big fighter works. But I kind of want a little more goofy Gohan. I want what they did for Gohan to be what they ended up doing for Piccolo. The perfect level of kind of goofy slice of life shenanigans, but being a proactive, getting stuff done strategist who's doing things Goku or Vegeta would never do. You think Goku or Vegeta would ever have the patience to literally Metal Gear Solid sneak into Red Ribbon to actually find out what the hell's going on?
No, and thank God.
Literally never. And then he kind of is like, all right, I got an idea how to push your dad to get a little stronger. All right, I need you to work with me, girl.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, okay, it's all good.
See, Goku is too stupid and Vegeta is too prideful to ever do anything like that. So yeah, Piccolo is kind of the only one who... Remember, he's the one who had to teach them how to do the fusion in the previous movie.
Yeah. And they should have remembered his lessons because they fucked up and they got fat Gotenks again. Which, man, I wanted to see a teenage Gotenks and they're like, haha, fat one. It was like,
yes.
Okay, I get it.
No part of that,
They literally fuse at the end of the movie again, but they don't show you because they're like, maybe later. I'm like, you cocksuckers.
Did anybody else feel a little uncomfortable from Fat Gotenks, or was it just me?
It is a gag from it's a gag from the Boo Saga, and it's a gag from like the 90s. It's
I mean, I don't mean the design. I mean when their clothes are torn and Fat Gotenks was like, "Hey, kiss my ass" or something like that. I was like, "Dude, I don't want to see that."
I think he said "get spanked," which I thought, all right, that's a good.
You know what I meant.
But I know what you mean. But basically, Kyle A. Bear and Chris Sabat have been playing these characters for a long, long goddamn time. And the impressive thing is like how well they've maintained their characters and performances, despite being like way older than they were 30 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really notice much age in their voices, which is genuinely impressive. Honestly,
Because like,
obviously,
yeah, I think Kyle's like got to be close to his 60s now at this point. He's playing old man characters.
Obviously, like Piccolo does not sound like he did when Chris Sabat first started playing him, because Chris Sabat is no longer trying to impersonate
Gargle
Scott
salt.
McNeil.
He was very guttural, gargly.
Yeah, because he was trying to impersonate Scott McNeil. But yeah, compare like even Kai, which is a pretty old dub at this point, like comparing Piccolo and Kai to now, he really hasn't aged at all in his voice, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
So, Hardy,
Yes.
you have told me. I'm glad you mentioned this earlier, so I could kind of end this discussion of Piccolo as the protagonist of this movie on you.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Piccolo and Chris Sabat's performance in this particular film?
I think it was fantastic. In fact, I even gave it a dubby for it, along with Charles. So yeah, I think this is the best. I say it again. This is the best Dragon Ball has ever sounded in English, and that's just a combination of various factors that have developed over almost 30 years, and this is the end result. And I think it sounds the best it's ever done.
Also, I think it's the design. I actually like the design, but it feels very funny that it's just called Orange Piccolo just because Piccolo can't be bothered.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Come on! You should have gone with Oni or like Demon. You should have called it Demon Piccolo. I would have taken Demon Piccolo. Or Oni.
I would have been cool with Super Namekian. I know that's kind of obvious, but I would have been cool with it.
I would have been like, come on, Oni.
Call him Piccolo
Right
Fanta.
Yeah.
Don't you want to?
Yeah.
I've seen some art. I've seen some Janet who wants the Fanta.
Oh my god. Anyway.
There is no Fanta. That's canon. Sorry.
Anyway, I thought Chris did very well as Piccolo, and yeah, he definitely does. To me, it definitely sounds like he has aged a bit because Piccolo is more mature than Vegeta's pride will ever be. So I think he knows how to tone it properly to where he could keep in characters Piccolo very easily. And listen to Kai's Gohan. It's amazing like how he manages just to maintain that performance after all that time, because it's like they have a different skill set like for recurring characters when the time comes, like all they really need is just some type of line to cue them back into character or something. But I thought for playing these characters as long as they have, it either came natural to them or they had to work hard at, much like the training throughout, just to get back into character. And I thought that was very solid, even in a dub like this,
Yeah, no, I love this group. I think this was very fun and very smart to make a movie starring Piccolo and also featuring Gohan working and teaming up together to save the world while Goku and Vegeta were just doing their shit. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we actually got to see Pan in canon a little more grown up, closer to the end of Z is
just anybody
delightful.
More grown up at this point is nice, honestly.
Goten looked like a child. He's 16 and he finally looks aged up. I don't care about that stupid. You get a sudden growth spurt. I don't care. That's stupid, but whatever. Dragon Ball is great. It's also kind of stupid, but also I kind of realized with the past couple of entries, I love Dragon Ball that it's kind of dumb and kind of stupid, but it's also... It's kind of one of the few things that makes me turn off sometimes my cynical brain to just kind of just gawk at how much I feel like a 10-year-old again watching the cool fights and like the cool transformations. Like... Okay, let's go to final thoughts. Dragon Ball, as a franchise, has stuck with me throughout my entirety of my life. And I feel like Superhero feels like what I want modern Dragon Ball to emulate. I want it to be a little more lax, a little more slice of life, and a little more fun, goofy. I think it's cool to get some cool fights and transformations and all that to sell toys and games, but I want to see more of Piccolo hanging out with Pan and all the dumb stuff about the plushies. And that's fun. I like that. I like that silly scenario a lot, and it worked for this movie a lot.
I like this movie
I
too.
really like this movie.
Yeah, I like this movie too because it proves that you don't need a film based on Goku or Vegeta to make a good final product. You can actually focus on some of the side characters every now and then because they're a whole lot of fun too. And
the whole Z cast is iconic and legendary and somebody's favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, Goku and Vegeta are the most popular, but frankly, it was a breath of fresh air to have a movie like this, and I'm so glad we did. And I'm so glad Toriyama was able to give us a story like this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was gonna say, like, to whoever takes over the Dragon Ball franchise, I don't know if it's gonna be like a committee like it is with Berserk. But
there's kind of a bit of a power struggle going on right now behind the scenes, allegedly.
Well, that
so
sucks.
We'll see how that goes.
I will say whoever wins the Game of Thrones, I will say this, even though it's going to fall on deaf ears, because who the hell cares? But try to remember that this is what Dragon Ball should be. It needs to put fun before anything else. The Frieza saga specifically was something different. It was meant... Toriyama made it specifically to try something a little bit more dramatic. A little bit more, like, serious than he had done before. And that's why the Frieza Namek saga is an outlier of Dragon Ball. Of the entirety of Dragon Ball. So, all I ask is that the person who takes over just tries to remember that fun comes first in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that sentiment because of all the later Dragon Ball movies I've seen, this one was actually my favorite, and I only watched this for the first time today. Like, and it makes me kind of regret I didn't go see it in the theaters when I did, because it kind of encompasses all the things of what Dragon Ball Z is and what Dragon Ball should be, and how it doesn't have to be power scaling every time, or like action fights are the regular, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a man of action. I love action movies. I mean, I'm also a Jackie Chan fan at heart, but even he knows how that a product could be approachable if you make it fun. You can make it a little dramatic if you want to, but you can make it a bit fun. It doesn't always have to be fighting every time. Like, basically, just make sure you understand the basics of the franchise. But like Lack said, you gotta make sure you make it fun, because if it's just gonna be fights every time, you're gonna get bored very easily, and then the franchise.
The biggest problem is that there's so many people that want different things from Dragon Ball there's going to be so many different butting heads now that Toriyama's gone. Which is sad, because frankly, Dragon Ball is everything, and Dragon Ball is eternal. And
I'm not a huge fan of the concept of Daima, but I'm willing to give it a try.
I'm willing to give it a try because that's the level of creative Toriyama just kind of resetting and just being like, I want to have fun. I want to do some weird, crazy shit that'll make him happy. And
also,
frankly,
the animation just looks phenomenal in Daima. So
the fact that that's going to be the last thing officially Toriyama's ever worked with makes me really excited. Akira Toriyama was a legendary creator like no other, who made one of the most influential mangas of all time. And his works have been a part of all of our lives, whether we realize it or not. His legacy is eternal. His creativity and his talent unimaginable. Rest in peace, Toriyama Sensei.
Rest in peace.
We thank you. And I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have the friends I do today. I wouldn't have the passions, the hyper obsessions, the podcast career, the girlfriends, love of my life, inadvertently, if it wasn't because the little kid turned on the TV today and the man with the spiky hair kind of activated a neuron that changed his life forever. I'm forever grateful. And with that, I think I'm ready to call this and this year's Summer at a Movies to a close. Thank you all for joining me on this particular discussion, as well as this sort of nostalgia trip for Dragon Ball and a bit of a send-off to Akira Toriyama himself. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. My name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me over on the Twitter and the Blue Skies at MangaMan9000 or Classy Spartan, depending. I am a member of the Dub Talk podcast, and I also talk about the latest and greatest in anime English dubs, but also talk about anime news alongside those fellas at Surreal Resolutions Podcast ONA. Just gonna plug you guys quickly if you have any quick things to say. Spaceman Hardy, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter. Basically, all I do is retweet art and occasionally make a response that no one will read, but whatever, it's fine.
Is how it is. It's a shithole. It's a shithole, but it's our shithole. Jamal.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jamstar529, YouTube Jamstar1. Still trying to work on solo podcasting. I'm assistant editor for this podcast, however.
And Mr. Lack the Watcher. What do you do? Where can people find yous?
Well, I'm a little inactive on Twitter right now. I'm kind of taking a break from the twits. But,
Can't blame you.
But you can find me at Like the Watcher. You can also find me under another persona as Lon Callwinter. That's my prominent VTuber right now. But more like noticeably, you can find me on YouTube as Like the Watcher. I make silly anime parodies, sort of like meme videos. Yeah, you know the stuff Solid JJ does. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm familiar, yeah.
Yeah, but I do it with like old anime instead of like Batman and Spider-Man. But yeah, you can.
What are Batman and Spider-Man if not old anime?
Yeah, very true. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. I'm actually doing pretty good. I just got monetization for my videos on YouTube, which is cool.
Huzzah!
And I'm well on my way to 18,000 subs. Which
oh shit, yo, good on you.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. I really didn't think I'd be getting there at this point, but it's nice to see some progress.
Proud of you, man. Wishing you the best.
Thank you. And that's pretty much it for me. So.
All right. And we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can find us on your social medias at Dub Talk Podcast. We have a Twitter and we have a Blue Sky and some other accounts that are less in use, but we also you can find us on our YouTube at Dub Talk Podcast, and you can also listen to us in audio podcasts formats such as Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, to name a few. If you would like to support us, you can give us a one-time donation to our Ko-fi, or you could be a regular patron. Words. Sorry, it's been the night is calling and the bed looks comfy. So, you could be a patron of the arts and support us, get early little access to our clips, our early audio previews, as well as get to vote in our patron's choice. If you are a $10 patron, you can submit an episode of your choice, and we can vote on it at the end of every 3 months. So, patrons' episode should be coming up very shortly soon. And if you're a $5 and $10 tier patron, you can get a shout out at the end of each Dub Talk podcast episode, like these wonderful people here. Shout outs to our wonderful patrons, Marissa Lenti, Megan's mom and dad, Michelle Travis, Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow, Crimson Echidna, Julia W., Quinoa Soup, and Otaku Anthony. You're all beautiful people. You're all wonderful people. And thank you for joining us for another Summer at the Movies. God, we've been at this for quite a while now, but...
Yeah. Wait, we have one more thing to plug, don't we?
We do?
Yeah, where can we find the movie?
Ah, right. Hey, you can actually watch this on Crunchyroll right now, because a lot of this has been the account of Funimation, but Funimation is now Crunchyroll, or Funimation is wearing Crunchyroll's face, depending how you approach it. You can find the movie...
It's a real John Travolta, Nicolas Cage situation.
Oh, yeah, you have no idea. So, yeah, you can watch the movies on streaming right now on Crunchyroll's website, both sub and dub. And you can also find the Blu-ray and 4K releases online or at your local dealers that still have physical media. Walmart has it, even if Best Buy decided not to. So yeah, that's where you can find it. Thank y'all for watching, thank y'all for listening, and thank y'all for another Summer at the Movies. Mm-hmm. All right, let's clean up that popcorn before anybody else realizes and goes Super Saiyan and kicks our ass.
Mm-hmm. These floors are still sticky.
That's their secret, Hardy. They never stop being sticky.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, otaku on, and keep on balling.
The floor is going to be very sticky once Broly's done with Chila, just saying.
Oh, for the...
Go, Broly, go, go! Go, Broly, go, go!
Go, Broly, go!
Good night, everybody.
There goes all the Patreon money.
And otaku on.